I will start out with a few comments about USMCA. As Mike mentioned, I'm involved in a couple of groups that I think have been very influential in both Mexico City and Washington in terms of guiding the outcome related to the renegotiation of NAFTA and now the entry into force of USMCA. And for us, this is a very big deal for us and our customers and our employees, our communities. So I've been very vocal, tried to be engaged and involved in the process so that we could have hopefully some influence in the outcome, and I'll talk about the outcome here in the next few minutes. It was encouraging after so much negative and aggressive rhetoric to see Trade Representative Lighthizer actually make this statement that the USMCA is the gold standard by which all future agreements will be judged, and citizens of all three countries will benefit for years to come. The most powerful outcome is really the removal of uncertainty, and we now have trade certainty for the most part for the next 16 years with the entry into force of the new trade agreement. I think the commentary from Washington has turned to a very strong positive, and you can see here just a quick summary of the approval sequencing that took place in all three countries to get to where we are, and then again the United States officially declared entry into force on July 1st. This is a historic and wonderful opportunity for North America. When you think about the confluence of a couple of events, the passage of the trade agreement, which again gives us certainty on trade for at least 16 years in a number of areas, the trends that have been emerging over the last few years about shrinking global supply chains, about building more resilient and dependable supply chains that have been really exacerbated here in the last several months as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. I don't think there's any doubt, and there's a lot of data to support this, that supply chain leaders, manufacturing companies are looking to de-risk their supply chains. The pandemic has really brought that to the forefront, but certainly the tense trade relationship between the U.S. and China has been a major contributing factor there. So all of that really leads to setting the scene for what should be a wonderful opportunity for growth in trade and manufacturing for North America, and certainly including Mexico. Just a few key provisions, some of the I suppose you'd call them headliners of the new trade agreement. Obviously, the rules of origin, auto industry being the poster child, if you will, for that issue. Labor reforms. Mexico did some amazing things in reforming their labor rules to comply to the demands and requests of the U.S. and Canada to equalize labor issues and costs on the two sides of the border. To create more of a level playing field. Certain issues on trade facilitation, including border issues that we're deeply involved in. We believe that there are tremendous opportunities to improve the processes of moving freight across the border, and certainly the processes for moving freight by rail. We see a lot of opportunities and good progress in those areas, and I'll talk about one in particular in a few minutes. And again, I mentioned that we have certainty for another 16 years. There are a total of 34 chapters. Some new things that did not exist in the original NAFTA, like digital trade and e-commerce. There are provisions that promote trade between small and medium-sized enterprises, environmental issues. So there's a lot of content there. But these are some of the ones that I think are more important to us and to our customer base. And one of the provisions, I didn't put it on the slide here, but it calls for a new committee for competitiveness. And I'm trying to better understand what that means and what kind of participation that calls for, what the expectations are for private sector participation in those committees for competitiveness. I haven't really gotten solid answers yet, which is both at one level a little concerning, but on another level maybe an opportunity to try to influence and provide some guidance and some direction before those committees. And I believe there will be multiple committees that may be under the umbrella of a higher level committee that might include some subsectors built around certain industrial sectors of the economy. One of the positives I see is that the focus of the discussion was really around what can the two countries and the two leaders do together to help each other to take advantage of these opportunities, recognizing that each president is going to do what they think is in their country's best interest, but with a pretty clear and consistent acknowledgement that we want this to be good for North America, which is a noticeable change in the rhetoric that we've heard for the last couple of years out of Washington. Things are changing in global supply chains. This next slide, NFTR, refers to the near to far ratio, and this is the percentage of products moving to the United States from the low-cost Asian countries and Mexico. So you can see Mexico has gained share related to these low-cost Asian countries in terms of manufacturing goods that are then moved into the United States. So China's market share is shrinking relative to other Asian countries, and Mexico's share is increasing as it relates to those low-cost Asian countries. So it kind of supports the second part of the statement I made earlier, which is, first part being we've got trade certainty with the new trade agreement, and supply chain strategies are shifting and favoring North America. What can we do as a business community, to make sure that we don't find ourselves in the situation that we did with NAFTA, and not just in the election of 2016, but it was really evident in previous election cycles as well, where the trade agreement and the relationship between the two countries is the target, the fodder, the fuel for election campaign rhetoric. And what can we do to keep this awareness of the benefits of the trade agreement and the relationship at a higher level? And I talk about this in every venue of this nature that I can, which is to consistently educate and communicate the business community as well as the political community about the importance of this relationship and the importance of this agreement. So what does that mean? That means talking to our employees about it. We do a lot of that at KCS. Obviously, we're one of the companies that has is more closely tied to Mexico than any other U.S. publicly traded company. Any way you look at our company, 50% of our company is in Mexico. And as I've said a number of times and really come to understand much better, we are a Mexican company that happens to be joined at the hip with a U.S. company. You think about the nature of our business, unlike a manufacturing facility, we are not going to pull up our tracks and relocate them to Pennsylvania or Ohio. We are in Mexico for the long haul. We've invested $5 billion in Mexico over the last 24 years. And if you think about how important critical infrastructure like a railroad is to a nation's economy, we are truly a Mexican company.